Yes, I have apologies from Councillors Criswell and Councillor Clark.
Thank you. So we go to minutes of the previous meeting. Are you all in agreement that I sign the minutes of the previous meeting, which have been circulated, those being on the 7th of December and the 17th of May 2023? Thank you. I will now sign these a correct record. Please bear with me while I do this. Oh, okay. So you've given me it there, green as well. Just this. Yep, okay. Thank you. Number two, members' interests. Do members have any interest to declare? Thank you. Monitoring report on the delivery of the Food Law Enforcement and Health and Safety Service action plans. I would like to invite Kate Penn to introduce the monitoring report on the delivery of the Food Law Enforcement and Health and Safety Service action plans. This is a standard report and covers the period between the 1st of January, 31st of March 2023. Thank you, Kate.
Thank you. So this monitoring report is covering quarter four of the service plans that were adopted this time last year, and we will move on to the new service plans on the next items. So the food safety service plan was continuing in line with the Food Standards Agency recovery plan, which meant that in quarter four, the target was for all food businesses rated category C and broadly compliant or better, so with a hygiene rating of 3, 4, or 5, to have received an on-site intervention. We managed to do this for all but 4 premises, and these ones remained outstanding due to difficulties in access, so perhaps businesses that are only open seasonally, so it restricts when we can go there. So in quarter four, we still received quite a few new business registrations. There was 77, which I think was in line with quarter two, but quite a lot more than quarter three. And that happens when perhaps a business changes hands or a new business starts up. So it's quite a continual sort of change process with food businesses. So in total, we achieved 671 inspections in the year, which was slightly under the number that we predicted, why we've had an ongoing amber status. But it is noted that this is a lot higher than what would normally happen in a normal year because of the catch up post-pandemic. But it means that we did complete everything in line with the Food Standards Agency recovery plan, which was our key target for the year. We had a small impact in quarter four with sickness absence, but that has in part been rectified now with one officer increasing hours, and we're dealing with the small vacancy that remains. So on Appendix 1, they've got some figures for the interventions undertaken. The red area that remains is for the alternative enforcement strategy, which is for the lowest risk food businesses that aren't necessarily due an on-site inspection, and we'll be taking this forward in this year coming. So we've also had in quarter four 109 service requests, which is slightly less than anticipated, but based on previous years, but is in line with the other quarters of the year. And again, we've continued to participate in the UK Health Security Agency sampling study. And in quarter four, the topics we looked at were ready-to-eat plant-based meat, fish, and dairy substitute products, and ready-to-eat hot or cold smoked fish. So samples were taken, and if there were any concerns raised when we got the results back, officers were taking additional visits back to the premises to provide any support or guidance needed, and if necessary, resampling. With regard to health and safety, in quarter four, There were 3 accidents that were reported to us and that required investigation, and 42 other service requests that we responded to. So these range from everything from complaints from members of the public, businesses requesting advice, as well as things like skin piercing registrations and notifications of defective equipment. Officers have also contributed to the Safety Advisory Group as event notifications have started ahead of the summer months. This group provides advice to event organisers to help promote public safety at events in the district. Work has also continued on the projects that we identified in last year's service plan, but due to the prioritisation of the food hygiene work, we haven't completed these projects. But we are taking them forward into the next year as they are still identified by the Health and Safety Executive as relevant projects, and there'll be more on that later. And that's all from me.
Thank you, Kate. I'll open this. Is there any other committee would like to provide any comments and discuss it today? Yes, Councillor Stevenson.
So I think if you look at the appendix with the amber warning, we've been through this 4 times this year at the quarterly monitoring reports. This is a good performance by this team. I think I did when I did the corporate update point out that we've done 72% more food safety inspections than in 21-22. The reason why it's an amber is because we were still under the auspices of the Food Standards Agency recovery plan. It's kind of this is the long tail of COVID, and I'm relieved that having reached March 2023, we're supposed to be at the end of that, but I know there's still some category D and E businesses, which are the really low risk ones. There's still a backlog of those, so we're still feeling some of that. But I think it's excellent performance by a very small team who are also obviously very vulnerable to losing or temporarily losing one member of staff through sickness or other reasons as well. So I'm very pleased with this performance. I think it's excellent work by the team, and they've done a good job in keeping us safe from food poisoning.
Thank you so much for that. Is there anybody else?
All right, I'm sure you can. I agree. It's a very small team, and it is a good piece of work. But I wonder if you could just clarify on Appendix 1, the other red one where it says other proactive visits. Just give us a little bit more information about the back of that one. Oh, sorry.
It's all right, I'm on now. So I think this is one of the questions we've had before, and that number of 100, I think, was a slightly inflated number that perhaps has been inherited. And one of the things that will be discussed later is actually I've kind of taken ownership of the team and everything this year. As I only came into permanent post in December, is we've actually changed some of those numbers so they're more reflective of what we're actually doing rather than a number that's just been put as 100 for X number of years. So although it is red, I wouldn't say it is a concern.
Thank you. Is anybody else would like to make any comments? Yeah.
Just to note with respect to that that amber, what we've done, we did at the last ONS. Well, have Cabinet approved it yet? Yes, Cabinet have approved it. Yeah, we've reduced that target because I think that target was the target of 864. Kate inherited was somehow plucked out of the air, and so we've reduced that target, I think, to 508, which is more reflective of kind of the general performance in a non-COVID environment as well. So there's no point in having targets which are completely unachievable stretch targets, and hopefully this will be more reasonable. And so hopefully we'll see lots of greens in the year ahead.
Thank you. There was one question I was going to ask on page 17. We've got AES, Alternative Enforcement Strategy. It's got predicted activity for 2023. 22-23 was 300, and total activity was 0. So where can you explain that?
Yep, certainly. So the alternative enforcement strategy is for the category E businesses. So they didn't play any part in the Food Standards Agency recovery plan because they are considered to be the lowest risk and the lowest priority for us to inspect. So it might be somebody that makes cakes at home and perhaps only does one or two a week or a month or something, and isn't, dealing with large numbers of the public or vulnerable groups and things like that. So that's the reason why we haven't had any activity there, because we've prioritised in line with the Food Standards Agency recovery plan, and this year we're going to start on that basically.
Thank you, Kate. If there's nobody else, I'd like to move on to the next item, which is number 4, Service Plan for Food Law Enforcement 2023 to 24. And again, I would like to invite Kate Penn to introduce the Service Plan for Food Law Enforcement. Thank you, Kate.
Okay, so this is our new updated service plan. So we have a duty to outline how the local authority will fulfill its duty to deliver official food controls within the district. We have to tell the Food Standards Agency what we're going to do, and this has to be laid down as a service plan in a format that is prescribed by the Food Standards Agency. So the plan details how we undertake the official controls along with other work. So our official controls include the proactive food hygiene inspections, provision of food hygiene ratings, as well as other areas of work. So this will include responding to complaints and service requests, sharing advice with businesses, taking part in the UK Health Security Agency sampling campaigns. On the 1st of April in 2023, there were 1,740 food businesses registered in Huntingdonshire. This was an increase of 39 businesses on the same date in 2022. So food businesses are inspected according to their rating category. So the highest risk, category A, are the subject of an inspection or a partial inspection every 6 months, and the lowest risk, the E category, are monitored using the alternative enforcement that we just discussed. So throughout last year, the Food Standards Agency recovery plan was followed, but now this recovery plan has finished. So the aim for us now this year is to work through the remaining backlog of overdue D-rated premises, which didn't form part of the recovery plan. And some of these, it's noted, may not have been inspected for 4 years due to the pandemic. So I think they're going to provide some potentially unique challenges just because they haven't had that interaction with us for some time. Some businesses will be absolutely fine, but equally there'll be others that may not be. So there's approximately 342 overdue D premises that will form that work, and there's also 224 A to C premises that will be due for inspection as part of their routine inspections during this year. And we've also got 53 unrated premises sitting ready due for an intervention, and these may be new businesses that are registered but haven't yet opened, so we haven't been able to inspect, or ones that are waiting for their inspection. And that's that new businesses that I've referred to that's kind of ever changing. So again, we'll be providing quarterly monitoring reports to the Licensing and Protection Committee, as well as the monthly monitoring figure that goes in. I've changed slightly some of the indicators on the appendix just to make it a bit clearer in terms of the work areas. So the intention is to provide a clearer breakdown of programmed food hygiene inspections, of whether these are a programmed inspection or an initial inspection, which would indicate a new business or a new food business operator, and also to break out the number of aborted inspections that take place, because it was all reported as one figure, and I think it would just be useful to split those three things out, because it does have an impact on where we go to businesses and they're closed. We can't carry out an inspection, but obviously the officer's time is still going there. And this comes about because businesses don't have a duty to tell us they've closed. Again, the alternative enforcement strategy remains as an indicator, and the aim for this year is that there will be progress against that figure. And I've just tidied up some of the other activities on the appendix that I report on every quarter. So this is just breaking out where we've done mentoring and business support visits just to show that side of work, where we're doing revisits to check compliance, and also the number of rescore requests and export certificates. I don't think were on there at all before, but they actually provide a small income to us. So I think it's useful just to report on those so you're aware of what's going on. I'm happy to take any questions.
Do any other committee members have any questions, or do they wish to make any comments? Yes, Councillor Bywater.
There we go. It's a dark art of getting it to work. Thank you very much, Chair, and good afternoon, everybody. Yes, thanks, Kate. Very, very interesting report. I've just got a couple of observations that I've picked up on, just in regarding the dates. It just became quite confusing on what we've been looking. I'm just thinking from a public perception point. I understood it, but I think we need to be just looking at our editing when it comes to the dates on it. I just wonder also just on the actual strategy. So it's page 33. At 2.45, we talk about trained officers, and the complexities of looking and examining some of these properties. Have we got enough officers? Bearing in mind it's a small team, and when we're looking at complex working environments, can you give me assurances that we've got the people to do those complex visits?
Yeah, definitely. Within environmental health, we sort of split in two directions. So we've got a small team of officers that do the food and health and safety. I think that's 4.5 full-time equivalents, and we have got a small, what's looking to be about half a full-time equivalent vacant post, which we're working out the best way to take that forward. But we've got all fully trained, competent officers at the moment, and there's an ongoing continual professional development requirements that they all fulfill to check they're up to date with new requirements and everything like that, legislative changes, and we see changing trends in businesses and that as well. So they cover all that.
Thank you. I'll now ask the committee if they would approve the service plan for food law enforcement as per the recommendations 1 and 2. If you're happy to do so, I'll have a show of hands if everybody's. It's unanimous. Thank you very much. I'd like to ask Kate Penn again, service plan for health and safety regulations for 2023-24. Thank you, Kate.
Okay, so this report presents the Health and Safety Service Plan. So the Health and Safety Executive is the national regulator for health and safety and requires every local authority to outline how it's going to fulfil its duty to make adequate arrangements for the enforcement of relevant statutory provisions within its area. And the service plan is our way of doing that. We follow the National Local Authority Code and the Local Authority Circular 67/2 to drive our priorities and work out what we can achieve in relation to health and safety. The HSE approach is risk-based, and everything's based on an incident selection criteria. So we'll use this to select relevant incidents, accidents, diseases, dangerous occurrences, and complaints for investigation. So this means that we will only work to investigate things that fall under this criteria. And obviously, if things don't, then in line with that, we wouldn't be able to take any action. But this means that our resources are targeted effectively. Statutory notifications will also be dealt with accordingly. So this might be around lifting equipment or accidents or asbestos works. And again, we'd follow the incident selection criteria to work out what actions we need to take. So our main activity will be focused around high-risk workplaces alongside a small number of targeted project work, which is what we're taking forward from last year. So the projects that we're going to continue are around inflatable amusement devices, raising awareness of electrical safety in hospitality settings, and raising awareness of the need to prevent injury to members of the public from accessing large commercial waste and recycling bins. And with all three of these projects, we're looking at the provision of information and guidance to relevant businesses. And we've got drafts ready to go, and it's just going to be finalising these and getting them out. That's the bit that's going to take place this year. In terms of requests for service, we're expecting there's going to be a similar number of service requests and accidents to last year, as that's not something that has a massive change year on year. And again, we'll be providing quarterly updates to the committee.
Thank you, Kate. I'll ask the committee members wish to ask any questions or make any comments. Yes, please.
This time. Oh, I've got that first time. I mean, it's really around the projects you're taking forward, especially in the inflatable amusement. I think this is one we really asked for, wasn't it? And because it's summer, more people are going to have those inflatable tents. And as I used to work on a children's ward, I know how many broken arms and discolored shoulders from children. So I really would like to see that as a huge priority, because I think it's very important. And we also know nationally there have been incidences of death through them not being tied down properly. So it's more of an observation that I feel is quite a priority. I don't know about other members, but yeah. So you're taking this forward. Is there anything you can tell us that you've done or?
Yep. So we're what we've done so far is drafted some information, and then we're looking at selecting relevant businesses. So we know there's quite a few pubs and things that have now got inflatables in their gardens or have them routinely. So it might be relevant to them. There's also potentially village halls and things that may hire out to people with inflatables and uses and that. So we're looking at now we've got getting the information together, getting it out in a sort of targeted fashion to those premises, but also putting something wider on our website for anyone that might be looking, and sort of through our communications channels.
And that's very good. And I think once that's in place, I think we need to do almost like a publicity stunt, to say, look, if you go to our website, it will give you the health and safety regulations that you need to use it. Because sometimes I think people don't think about it enough, and we know that by the accident. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Jordan. They were good questions. Is there any more comments or questions the committee would like to ask? Yes, please.
Sorry, Chair. Can I just thank you? Can I just add? I know it's Kate's report, but obviously, in terms of the inflatables, that comes to the safety advisory group as well. So obviously, Kate, a member of Kate's team, will sit on the safety advisory group and offer advice. So anybody that's got inflatables, and obviously, inflatables at an event is a bit of a trigger for them to sort of hopefully encourage to attend a safety advisory group meeting. So we can offer that advice as well. So I just thought I'd add that in as well. So. Okay.
Thank you, Michelle Bishop. I'd like to ask the committee to approve the service plan for health and safety regulations as per recommendations 1 and 2. I'd ask the members if they're happy to do so. And could I have a show of hands? Thank you. Unanimous. Thank you very much. I'd like to go now on to 6, suspension and reavocation of hackney carriage and private hire licenses, decisions under delegated authority. I would like to invite Michelle Bishop, a licensing manager, to introduce this report. Please remember that we're in public. If you ask questions, we're in public session, so please keep questions of a general nature. If you require more detailed response, please request further information outside this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So as you can see from the report, over the last 3 months, we've had 10 vehicles that have been suspended The majority of these have been through an accident, so we suspend so the insurance company can then issue them a temporary replacement vehicle. We've also suspended 2 drivers. Again, there's some brief details as to why they've been suspended within the report. And then going down to section 3.2, I just want to give you an update on that. So, as you can see, we've had 3 appeals for decisions that we've made. That have obviously they've decided to appeal that decision at Magistrates Court. So, in terms of those 3, one of them has subsequently withdrawn the appeal the day before, actually, and so didn't even get to the appeal stage. So that one now will just take effect of what was issued originally, which was a revocation. There's another one on there where further papers, so they had a court date, and that court date has now been deferred to later on, beginning of July time. So hopefully I'll get an update on that very shortly as to what's come out of court. And then the third one on there was due to be in court, I think it was last week. Subsequently, since they was due to be in court, they've now committed a further offence, and we had to make the decision to immediately suspend their licence, or revoke it, should I say. So we'd already carried out a revocation of the licence, they appealed it, but because they can carry on driving during that appeal period, however, it was deemed that because it was a further offence, there was a public safety matter. So we then used our delegated powers in conjunction with the chair and the vice chair, and we done an immediate revocation. So again, we'll wait on further details of that still original appeal hearing. But at the moment, that's where we are with those 3 at the bottom there. So I just wanted to sort of update you on that, and obviously I'll continue to do so. As I say, happy to take any questions.
Do any members wish to ask comments or ask any questions? Thank you, Michelle. So you're all happy with that report. Licensing and protection subcommittees. I would like to draw your attention to a report on page 63 of your agenda, which details the outcomes of the meetings of the Licence Protection Subcommittee, which have been held since the last meeting. As you will see, there has been 1 meeting. Are members happy to note this information? Thank you. We will move on to the second part of the Licence Committee, which you've had all given to you. I'd like to ask you to, the minutes, first of all, ask if there's any apologies.
Apologies are the same as the Licensing and Protection Committee, Councillor Criswell and Councillor Clark.
Thank you. Are you all in agreement that I sign the minutes of the previous meeting, which have been circulated, those being the 10th of November 2021, the 18th of May 2022, and the 17th of May 2023? Okay, thank you. I will now sign these as a record. Thank you. Do any members have any interests, pecuniary or otherwise? None to declare. Thank you very much. Licensing subcommittees. I would like to draw your attention to the report on page 9 of your agenda, which details the outcomes of the meetings of the licensing subcommittees, which have been held since the last meeting. As you will see, there have been 3 meetings. Are members happy to note this information? Thank you. I will now draw it to a close. Thank you very much. That was quick.